Hey, que la que hay, mi gente? It's Rocky here from SpeakSpanishFaster.com. In today's video, I'm going to be answering a question that I get a lot on the YouTube channel and inside of our members area. And that is, what is my language learning routine? What are the things that I do that I've been able to use to learn multiple languages? So in today's video, I'm going to be kind of breaking down my primary routine that I use so that you can use it to learn Spanish faster. All right, so I'm going to show you pretty much everything I do. But before we get to that, I think it's important for you to know what stage of learning Spanish are you in, because it requires two different methods. These methods determine what you do on a daily basis, and this is what I take into account before I even start practicing or studying the language that I want to learn. So the first step is, if you're a beginner, you need to be doing more of a deliberate type of learning, more of a deliberate type of training. And I'll explain these in a second. And if you're more advanced, let's say you can pretty much understand everything that you listen to, and you don't have to rewind it, and you don't have to really write down words because you already know the words, then you're at a more advanced level. And if you're at that stage, then you can use more of a natural type of learning. So we have deliberate learning and natural learning on both sides. One is for beginners, one is for more advanced students. And I'll tell you how to know which one you're at. Now, deliberate learning, like I said, is if you're a beginner. The difference between the two is deliberate learning. You are there, pen, pencil, paper, and you are listening to a small piece of content, a short piece of content, over and over again, because you aren't really familiar with all the words, so you have to write down a lot of the words. You can only stick to a small piece of content, because if it's too long, you're lost. A mistake a lot of people make when they're beginners is they think just listening to Spanish is going to make them fluent or help them with their comprehension, but it's not, because if you don't understand what's being said, it's just going to sound like mumbo jumbo in the background, right? So we have to start with these short chunks of content and text to study with, videos, whatever it is. You want to work with short form content, and you want to deliberately study this content, writing down words that you don't know, underlining, whatever you have to do. As you get more advanced, and the way you'll know you're more advanced is with this deliberate content, the short form content, you are just breezing through it. It's too easy for you. That's when you know you're getting more advanced. Now, when you're getting more advanced, the study changes. You don't have to sit there deliberately writing every word, and this makes it easier to consume more content, because now you can listen to podcasts. You can, without even writing or studying, really, you could just listen to podcasts and understand everything. You can watch long form YouTube videos, watch movies on Netflix. You don't have to sit there and write down every word. So again, we have deliberate, natural. Natural learning is more just consuming the content without really deliberately studying it. So if you're more advanced, you do that. Whenever I start my routine, it starts the day before, all right? Starts the night before, whatever. And I like to pre-plan what I'm going to do the next day. It makes it much easier to show up every single day when you already have what you need. So when I sit at my desk and I'm ready to learn Spanish or whatever language I'm going to learn, I already have all my stuff out. I already know what I'm going to do. So my first tip is to prepare the night before, all right? And you have to think about, what type of content am I going to be consuming? If I'm starting a new language, learning a new language, I'm going to be more of a deliberate type of learning. So I'm going to pick a piece of content, and I'm going to have a pen, pencil, piece of paper on the table ready. Nowadays, I just use my iPad, but that's what I do. And I'm going to watch a piece of content, write down words I don't know, study those words, things like that. All right. Now, if I know I'm more advanced in a language, then I'm just going to pick a podcast or something to study the next day. All right. So really quick, I'll start for deliberate learning, because I think natural learning is easy. You just listen to Spanish as much as possible because you already understand it. So you could just consume as much as possible. Deliberate, when you're getting started, is much more difficult. It's much more time consuming, but it's worth it. So let me show you the routine that I do the day before to prepare myself for the next day. All right. So let me show you on my laptop exactly what I'm doing. All right, so what we are doing right here is we are trying to prepare ourselves for tomorrow. The more prepared we are, if we have the piece of content we want to study tomorrow already set, then it'll be much easier to actually show up the next day and get the work done. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to page. I open my Pages document here. You can open Microsoft Word. You're going to page setup. We're going to put it in landscape. Then we're going to go to layout right here, and usually it'll be on columns 1. You want to make sure it's on 2 columns. So these will be split with columns. You'll see in a second. When you're finding the content that you want to do, I highly recommend that you find the type of Spanish that you want to speak. So if you want to speak Spanish from Spain, find Spain-speaking Spanish content. If you want to learn Puerto Rican Spanish, find content from Puerto Rican speakers. Now, I know this isn't 100% feasible all the time, because if you're watching Netflix or something like that, a lot of times the Spanish will be from the country where the show is being done, or if you just turn on the Spanish audio for an English show, it'll be very neutral Spanish. This is fine too, all right? Don't think you only have to do your type of Spanish that you want to learn. But the more you consume the type of accent that you want to learn, the easier it will be to learn that accent, all right? Next thing we're going to do is find a piece of content in Spanish, all right? Now, you should know some YouTubers that you like, or find some YouTubers. I'm using YouTube here because it's free, it's easy. It's easy to do for deliberate learning. Now, I have subtitles on this video right here, and I put the subtitles for you. This whole video I did in Spanish, and I put the subtitles in Spanish for you. Not every channel is going to do that for you, which is fine, because a lot of times you will still see the auto-generated Spanish subtitles, and that's better than nothing. It's not 100% perfect, depending on the type of video you're watching, but it's better than nothing, all right? But you could also find videos or channels like my channel where whenever I do a Spanish video, I put the subtitles for you. Then the next thing you want to do is go right here, open transcript, turn off the toggle timestamps. Now what I have here is a long piece of content, and this is English. Let me change this to Spanish. So I have the Spanish transcript right here. So this is what I do. I copy all this in Spanish. I copy it. The first thing I do is take it to Google, and I just translate it, all right? So what you're gonna do here is the first thing you're gonna do is copy this, go here, and you're gonna paste it. Now remember, this is 2 columns, so what you have to do is you have to insert column breaks. So pretty much you wanna insert column breaks every time. Now I know this is not the most ideal thing to do, but trust me, it's worth it, all right? It's really worth it to do all this. Because it'll make your learning, and it doesn't even take that long. So I'm not going to do the whole thing right now, but let's say this right here. So what I do is I copy this, and then I re-put this into Google Translate. And then I copy that, and I paste it on this side. So what I've done is I've created my own translation document. So I have Spanish on the left, English on the right, okay? And I would just do that for this entire document. And again, it wouldn't even take that long. This would probably take 5 minutes, and it's worth it. Now you can print this, you can export it as a PDF, put it on your iPad, and all you're gonna do is consume the content, all right? Consume the Spanish video or the audio, whatever you have, consume it. And now you have your Spanish over here, your English over here. So every word you don't know, let's say you don't know what lograr means, lograr una meta, which means to achieve a goal. Let's say you don't know what lograr means, but you know what una meta means. So what you're gonna do here is you're gonna write this word down, write this phrase down, lograr una meta, all right? That's one of the words you write down in your journal or in your iPad, whatever you have. Now tomorrow you're gonna come back and you're gonna review that phrase, okay? And that's how you come up with the words and phrases that you don't know. Each day you write them down. Now it's easy to know what this means because we have the translation right here. So you do all the work up front so you don't have to do the work later and write down a word, then go to Google and find that word, then go to the Google and find the next word. You do all the hard work up front. Might take 5 minutes, 10 minutes the day before, but I promise you it's worth it because the next day when you're consuming, you don't have to waste your time doing all this, all right? So that's how you prepare. This is what I do for deliberate learning. All right, so now we are on the day of. You have your piece of content ready. So how do we start the day? Well, anytime I start a language learning session, I start by reviewing what I did the previous day or the previous week. So let me break this down how I do it. So remember how I told you, you want to underline, you want to write down the words that you don't know in phrases, and you want to be able to keep reviewing those words until they become second nature, until you know them. So what I do, let's say on Monday, I wrote down like 10 words that I didn't know that now I'm trying to learn. Tuesday, when I start my language learning session, I will review those words. Now pay attention because on Wednesday, I review Monday and Tuesday. All right, on Thursday, I review Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I'm reviewing each day every other day. All right, so Friday, I'm reviewing what I did Monday through Thursday. And this having to keep going back to review is definitely going to help you remember the words that you need to learn that you don't know. When I get to Sunday, I review the whole week, all right? Now, when I get to the next week, I start fresh, but I don't forget that previous week. So week 1, I will review the next Sunday, okay? So on the Sunday, I'm reviewing Monday through Saturday from that week, or Monday through Sunday from that week, really. and I'm reviewing the entire last week I did. Now, I know you might think, oh, this is going to be too hard. How am I going to remember all these words? But remember, you're reviewing every day. So by the time you get to week 2 Sunday, week 1 words, you already pretty much know those, and you're just flying through the review. And the way that I review is pretty much on one side, you could write your Spanish words. On the other side of your journal, write your English words. Just cover the English side or cover the Spanish side, whichever way you want to do. Or you just want to test yourself, like, okay, this means that, this means that, all right, by keeping one side covered. And again, I recommend you practice doing both by having to recall the English word for the Spanish word and vice versa, having to recall the Spanish word for the English word. Remember, this is all deliberate learning. Now, deliberate learning, again, is more tedious in the beginning because you have to do it. If you're a beginner, you can't just listen to Spanish like I said earlier. But what happens when your deliberate learning starts to get too easy? What happens then? What do? Well, you start listening to longer forms of content. So again, deliberate learning, short form content, multiple times until you really understand it. Natural learning is long form content just one time. You don't have to listen over and over again because you understand it. Once you get to the point where you're advanced, you don't really need to prepare as much the day before because now all you have to do is listen, consume as much Spanish as possible. Now, don't get me wrong. You can still say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to watch this documentary in Spanish, or I'm going to watch this movie in Spanish. But it's much easier. You don't have to be as prepared. I recommend when you get to that stage, what I do in a language is I consume it as much as possible. So when I'm washing the dishes, I'm listening to a podcast or a YouTube video. When I'm driving, instead of listening to music, I'm listening to a podcast. Instead of when I'm working out now, instead of listening to music, I'm listening to a language. So when you get to that advanced stage, that's when language learning is fun because the deliberate stuff, you don't need it anymore. And then you just consume. And it's much easier to consume more content. Remember, deliberate learning, let's say we have a 5-minute piece of content and we have to review it 10 times just to understand it. But at the end of the day, we're really only consuming 5 minutes of Spanish. So that amount of vocabulary words, that amount of words. When we get to the point when we can understand a lot and we can consume podcasts for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, watch 2-hour-long movies, think about how much Spanish you are consuming. And that's when you're really going to see rapid results. But the problem is a lot of people never make it out the deliberate phase. They never get to the point of advanced. And a lot of people try to start the advanced and just listen to podcasts too early. So that's why they don't get the results that they want. So start deliberate. When it gets too easy, move to advanced. I know you're probably wondering, well, when do you speak Spanish? Or when do you speak any language? Like, how do you speak? I'm a believer of just consume until you feel comfortable enough to speak with somebody else. Now, it's not about making mistakes. You're always going to make mistakes. So being comfortable isn't, you can't say, oh, I'm not comfortable because I don't want to make mistakes. Comfortable just means where you feel you can try to hold a conversation as much as possible. Now, when I get to this stage, I will find an italki partner to talk with. Any website like italki. Pretty much you just want to find somebody that you can speak Spanish with. I don't recommend finding like a teacher. You don't want to find somebody that's going to teach you Spanish. All you want is a conversation. You bring up topics that you want to talk about. They'll ask you questions. You talk, they talk back. That's the best way. And I would do this. I would start 1 time a week. If I feel comfortable, I'll do 2 times. I'll go all the way up to 3 times a week. I'll be on an italki call like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that'll be my session for the day because you're practicing speaking and you're comprehending comprehensible input because the person is dumbing down their speaking to help you understand. So that's great. Well, I won't say that's the only thing I'll do because if I really want to learn a language and I'm in that advanced phase, then I'll speak with somebody. I'll review that lesson I did with them. And I'll still listen to podcasts when I'm doing things. The beauty is if you're just learning Spanish, you have much more time than if you're learning more than one language and you have to kind of break it up. So spend all your time, all the time you have to learn a language, learning Spanish. And again, I know the deliberate phase is tough, but it's worth it. Once you get through that phase, things get much easier and your results go much faster because again, like I said, you're consuming significantly more content. A deliberate learner, maybe 7 days a week, you practice that 5-minute video. So at the end of the day, you're getting like 35 minutes of content. From 35 minutes of those of those words. So you've only been exposed to 35 minutes of new content the entire week. But when you get in the advanced phase, you can listen to a podcast for an hour every day. Now you have 7 hours of Spanish you've been exposed to. So you can see how your results will skyrocket as you continue to improve. That's my language learning routine. That's what we just had our workshop with our we had about 100 students in it, our workshop at the beginning of the year, and I pretty much showed them how to do all of this. So it was great. So if you have any questions about that routine, please don't hesitate to ask them in the comments. I will do my best to answer everybody. If you found this video helpful and you are looking to take your Spanish to the next level, you're in that beginner phase and you need more content, the deliberate learning, then I highly recommend you check out this free training that I have, 3 Secrets to Learn Spanish Faster. I'll put the link in the comments and I'll pin it there. You can click it, watch the video. Definitely take your Spanish serious. Deliberate learning is difficult in the beginning, but it's so worth it, and it'll help you get to that advanced phase where your Spanish is going to skyrocket. So thank you so much for watching. Click the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Last but not least, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you never miss another video. Until next time, I'll see you then.